The Wests Tigers podcast is brought to you by the Wests Tigers Podcast Forum. Join the conversation today at weststigerspodcast.com.au.
It's episode number 488 of the West Tigers podcast, and it is a post-loss edition of the podcast. 24-22, the final score against the St George Illawarra Dragons at Combank Stadium this afternoon. Josh and Nick are here, and there's a number of things to talk about. One word, gentlemen, to kick us off. By the sound of it, you guys might be struggling for one word. Nick, what do you got for us?
I am struggling, Joel. Yeah,
you're at death's door.
Literally, not feeling great. I had a huge weekend, as we were just chatting about. But
this could be Nick's last ever podcast.
It could be. Well, hopefully not. But
it could be.
You know what? The way we're going, I actually wouldn't mind if it was my last podcast. I'm just so tired of it. Maybe tired's a good word. But I actually think our team looked. I was actually thinking earlier. I feel like half of the team is checked out. Like, I feel like there were still some players putting in effort, but as a team, as a whole, I think we're a little bit lacking effort in places. I know that watching the game today, a few times we made some breaks. I know Tupou made a couple of breaks. Buller made a couple of breaks out wide, and I felt like we didn't have players in support, especially not on their hip. When Buller made a break down the left side, I noticed that I think it was Tupou was probably 3 or 4 meters behind him when he was getting tackled, which is not where you want to be. Like, if you're making half breaks, and when you're a struggling team, you've got to try and capitalize on any type of break. I don't think we had players in support. So I'm going to go with tired, Joel. It's a long and tiring season. I think some of our players are looking forward to the off-season probably as much as we are.
You've gone tired. I've taken out of that, Nick, checked out. I think checked out's a good one. Yeah, I think there's probably a chance some of them have. What about you, Josh?
And a little more positive. Sakuru is my one word for today. I thought the young bloke on debut, 2 tries, 22 runs for 186 metres,
Huge.
a line break assist, a couple of tackle busts. Look, he had one bad moment in defence where him and Luai kind of combined to miss Sully there. But I thought for a young guy coming into a team that's struggling, I thought he really put his fists up today. I thought good on him, and great to see all his friends and family in the crowd celebrating when he scored. Yeah. So Sakuru for me, my one word.
And they made a lot of noise too.
Because there wasn't many people out there by looks. I wasn't there myself. I think they said 9,500, but I think that was very optimistic. Who's ever counting that was counting fingers and not people, I think. So yeah.
9,000 of Sakuru's family.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you just said, Josh, it was unreal to see all his friends and family up there in the stands, all wearing the Sakuru T-shirts that they'd made up. And anytime he touched the ball and when he scored those tries, they were going off. So it was a really impressive debut. I'm really proud and happy that he didn't hold back. Like, he went in, with that mentality that, I've got my crack, I'm going to make the most of it. And he did. And it actually led me to think, Joel, I don't know if you guys know, when's the last time we had an NRL debutant play for us in a winning game? I couldn't think of one today.
It'd be a while.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I mean, we don't have many winning games, Nick. So therefore, to add that with the debutants is, makes it hard.
Yeah. I sometimes as you know, I sometimes have a long list of one words that pop into my head, but I struggled as well for a one word. I'm feeling numb about it all, and I think a lot of my fellow fans are as well. That was the 8th loss in a row. And before I give you what I have come up with in terms of one word, do you feel a difference to the losing streaks of the last couple of years? Does this feel a little bit different to you, Nick? And I guess I'm not necessarily just talking about us, but amongst the fan group, what I read a lot of the forums and a lot on Facebook, it just feels a bit different.
100%. I think for me, it's mostly because we got off to a cracking start this year, and we set ourselves up early, even leading into Origin period of building a really good foundation to springboard off, going beyond Origin into the back half of the year, and we've failed miserably. I think that's the most disappointing thing for me. And like you said, we've had big losing streaks in the past, but they've tended to be sort of mid-season, and then we kind of get over it. I know when we beat the Titans at Leichhardt, we thought, okay, well, we've probably steadied the ship a bit, but since then it's just gone completely south. And now there's only 3 games left. Thank God there's only 3 games left as well. I think a lot of fans are feeling that way, but when you look at who we've got next week, and we'll get to that eventually, but there's not much happiness that I can see over the next few weeks either.
Josh, there is definitely it's fair to assume, and it's fair to predict that we may not win another game this year. They're all going to be very hard games, the 3 games going into an off season after the start that we had, and then it's going to be 11 losses in a row if that's the way that it pans out. I mean, that's got to be a worry for the club. I've unticked my membership. It's not an ideal situation. It would be rock bottom if we end up where a lot of us think we're probably going to end up in early October.
I don't know if it'd be rock bottom. I mean, it's only a couple of years ago we won 3 spoons in a row, but it is. I think what we had this year that other years we didn't have, and I'm not talking about Tristan here, we had hope. And when you have hope and it gets taken away, I think that is and genuine hope. We had a good start to the year, which we haven't. I don't think we've had that. Halfway through a season, that kind of genuine hope that we could, have a crack and actually make the finals for quite a long time. I think that's why I think people are feeling different is because, we had Benji come in, we'd seen improvement. It was heading in the right direction at the end of last year. We started well. People kind of see that, there was actually something kind of on the horizon. And then for that to be taken away and it to finish like this, I think that really, like, the question kind of gets raised as to, well, if not now, when? And we've already gone through 12 years of it getting worse, and it doesn't seem to be now getting better. What is when does it get better? And I think maybe coming into this year, we all thought, it was getting better. I'm not so sure that's the answer now. So I think that's been quite painful. I don't know, like, will I renew next year? Yeah, of course I will. I mean, I'll, have an off season to forget about this and read some exciting stories in November and I'll be
Best
there.
off season ever.
Best off season ever. The army camp videos in Feb, I'll be right up to it. We'll sign a couple of reserve graders and I'll be like, they're going to turn into stars. But yeah, look, it has been a challenging, probably the most challenging end to a season, I think, for a while, because while we've had other times where we've been crap all year, we weren't crap all year, and the roster's okay and probably has potential, I think, and hasn't shone through. And then what do you do about that? So, yeah. And then to a big shout out to a mate of mine, Brendan, who for most of the year and most years talks about sacking the coach as his first response, but he said today, sack all the coaches. So, but I don't think you can do that either because a heap of players would go with it. So, it's a struggle to know where to from here, I think.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. That's the feeling, isn't it? It is like, where to from here? Is it a situation where there needs to be some sort of circuit breaker where something has to be changed? Or and normally I do advocate for the status quo, but Nick, the status quo, if we end the season with 11 straight wins, I don't know that necessarily is kind of, I worry that we're on that roll, and it's hard to, the longer that goes on, the harder it is to switch that around and switch it around in a big way.
Completely agree. And I actually do think this will, even if we don't win the spoon, I was looking at the ladder. If the Dragons win, they got 3 games left, right? If they win their 3 games, they're on the same points as us. I haven't looked too hard at the maths with the Titans and the Broncos, I think, who are below us, but are we still a chance of coming last?
The Broncos are a chance of coming last on for and against, apparently, and the Dragons have got pretty winnable games. I can't see them winning all 3 of their games. I don't think they're good enough to be able to win another 5 games straight. But one thing I will say about the Dragons, and I'll swing back to you, Nick, is that they've improved. If you look at at 5 or 6 weeks ago, they're getting better all of the time. Where we ain't. But
They
back to your
are.
point.
And in the midweek pod, when we gave our predictions, I did predict Dragons to win. I said 24-10. I actually forgot that was the score in the first game that we played against them this year that we lost 24-10. So they've gotten us twice again, which is ridiculous. But they are on the up. So they've been playing better footy. You could see they were playing a lot more positively than West Tigers are at the moment. You can see that they've had some better performances and they'd won the previous week as well. So their confidence is up.
Yeah,
whereas ours is rock bottom. And
some good players coming in too next year.
Exactly. And regardless of whether they're 17th and we were 14th, going into today's game, like they played like they were above us on the ladder. We are playing like we're last on the ladder. I know we only lost by 2 points and we were competitive in patches. I had a quick listen to Benji's press conference before we jumped on, and he did say we had about 20 good minutes in the first half and 20 in the second half, but you can't play good footy for half the game. This is the NRL.
I think for probably more than 3/4 of our games this year, Josh, that could be said. Like the Panthers game where we got wiped out, and a couple of times we've looked pretty ordinary. The Canterbury game, you couldn't take much out of that. But every game we've played this year, there's been, after the game, you could say the West Tigers were at least okay in patches. And that was the same today.
Yeah, look, I thought today, and last week it was a rotten game, and we were horrible, and there was lots of errors, and it was lots of penalties, and it was just it was poor play, and both teams were poor, and we were slightly worse. I thought both teams played well today. Like I think that wasn't a bad game of footy. Like if you think about 14th versus 17th, usually you're seeing a lot of errors, you're seeing a lot of penalties. There's only 2 penalties each. It was only 19 errors. I mean, the Roosters Panthers game on Friday, had 40 errors, and this one only had 19. Like we made 1900 meters, we had 55% of the ball. Like there's a lot of, and the Dragons were good, as you said, in the forwards. I don't think, like, do I think we're going to win in the next 3? No, but I don't think today was a bad game of footy, but we lost. So it was a good game of football that we lost. But you're playing the team coming last, so even if they're playing a good game of footy, you should still win. And but there, as you said, I think there's been probably, especially there was a couple early in the season, and probably a couple since then where we've been statistically the better team on the field, and probably look like we have played a good 40 or 50 minutes, but had little spurts of bad minutes, that 10 minutes before halftime. Which I thought we got out of our game earlier in the year, but we had a bad 10 minutes before halftime today. We let them in for 2 tries, and fairly soft defence on the edges for both those tries. So I thought that 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes before halftime, when they scored, Stewart scored and Sully scored, and went through Luai on one side and Dewey on the other. I think that was the real poor 10 minutes, and that cost us the game. I mean, we fought back in the second half, but which was a better half. I mean, even that one try they scored with the freaky kick back in field. I mean, was it a great kick? Yes, but I mean, 9 times out of 10 that doesn't go to hand and land in, like the bounce doesn't work. It doesn't go to hand. So I thought the second half was better.
That try off the kick, was it Sloan who put the kick in from?
Yeah,
Sloan put the kick in field. It's more about the effort. There were 3 Dragons players chasing up the middle towards the post.
Yeah, correct.
Calling for it. And when you watch the replay, who was rushing back from Tigers?
It was Tupou from the far wing was the only.
Exactly.
One.
And that's what I'm talking about, lack of effort and checking out, Joel. Like the effort is not there. And like Benji's clearly getting very, very frustrated, and he's repeating himself in his press conferences. But a lot of it has to come down to the players. And like he said, these guys are paid to play NRL. You're running out there for 80 minutes a game or a week to play a game of footy. They train a few times a week, doing all this ball work. But unless you turn up with an attitude that you are going to win and you want to win, you can't just want it to happen. Or, it's not just going to happen. You've got to earn it.
Yeah, well, personal pride does come into it, and it's not all of them. It's probably about half of them is probably what I'd suggest. Because there were some guys there that are going to get a rap in a minute. It does come back. I do strongly believe that we have too many feelers and not enough thinkers in that team, and we'll circle back around to a point on that in a sec. I had a couple of words. Disillusioned. We and every West Tigers fan has every right to feel disillusioned. I've put recipe down, and what I was thinking was, if you just go to the fridge and try and make a cake and you just chuck anything in, you don't end up with a cake, or you don't end up with an edible cake. You have to follow a recipe for success. And pretty much, I mean, let's be generous and say pretty much everybody except maybe the Titans have some degree of success in the NRL, or could point to some level of success in the last 10 years. So the recipe for success is out there, guys. It's not a mystery. Yeah, it's not some hidden thing that we can't work out. It's that we can't seem to be able to come up with the right recipe and stick to it and see it through. But I've got also vulnerabilities, and in the NRL, in professional sport, Wimbledon, wherever you want to talk about professional sport, if you have a vulnerability, that vulnerability will be exposed in top level sport. And our vulnerabilities were exposed halfway through this year, or in fact, in that second half against Cronulla, the vulnerability started to become exposed, and they continue to be exposed. The West Tigers podcast forum, not of course, and understandably, not as many one-word submissions of recent times. It's an indication, I think, of where people are at. Teddy S, their word was Buller. What is he good for? LFC Tiger, ingrained. Losing is ingrained in the culture of this club. Mac Tiger went for possession. We wasted it when we had it, and we couldn't cope when we didn't. Also, Mac Tiger came back with a second one word, outcoached. Coaching was the difference today. Tigersman, their word was typical. Natmac 78, their word was the number 2. 2 months and 2 days since our last win. And Dirty Reds, their word was also a number 11. We will have 11 straight losses going into 2027. If there aren't widespread changes, I will be passing up my membership. So, you're not alone there, Dirty Reds. A lot of people feeling the same way. Okay, so I did predict on the midweek pod last week that we would crack 18 points. We got to 22 points. Going into 2027, obviously Luai is not going to be there. Josh, Adam Dewey is not a halfback. We need to buy a halfback.
I don't know about need to buy a halfback, but I think Adam Dewey is not. No, he's not your traditional halfback, and he's not really a halfback. I mean, he's not really been playing for a lot of the year as a halfback either. We've been kind of playing a
A
2-5-8
hybrid.
model, hybrid model, and probably the only time we weren't was Madden, and Dewey was named at 5'8" when Madden was playing, but Madden was playing. Sorry, Dewey was named at halfback, but Madden was playing halfback effectively when that was happening. It's interesting, as you said, because you go into next year and you've got Andrews, who's been playing halfback in Cup, but also playing a hybrid. I mean, he's just,
Yeah,
I mean, he's built like a 5'8".
he's a 5'8".
Latu might be a halfback. I don't know. That one's
No.
an interesting one. I think that one has potential, but we'll see what happens there. But we're still in that position where Madden is the only traditional halfback that we have in our squad. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but who are we going to buy that you would put above the guys we have there? Because I don't think the ones that are going to come to us, especially at this stage for next season, or to be fair to the Tigers at all, are going to be better, even if they are. You're going to get that Madden level of a halfback, and so that means you've kind of got to go with what you've got to go with. And a couple of years ago, we signed up a halfback for $1.2 million, and then decided he wasn't a halfback after 12 months. So
Because he wasn't, and he never was.
yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
No, but we'd already paid him as one, so he
I
couldn't
know.
sign another one. So
Yeah.
So we are in an awkward position. I mean, look at that back line today, and I thought some of them were all right, but if you go to round one next season, if everyone's fit, well, Tupu might start. Sakura and Herbert won't start. Luai won't be there. Dewey is up in the air. That back line's going to look fairly different next year to begin with, but it's the halves is a big question going into next year, I think. And do we buy a halfback? But where do you find the halfback you want?
Just give Latu the jersey next week. He's back, right? I'd give him the jersey.
I think Adam was very much holding his shoulder in that last little while.
Yep.
I think you'll see that Latu will be in the halfback spot next week, I'd say. So
one of the first ways to recovery is to admit you have a problem. Nick, and I know, and I'm taking into account that he's not 100%, but Adam Dewey is not. We need a game controlling, traditional type halfback and someone who gives good service, sharp service, is actually pacey and is a threat to the line, other than just being the strong ball runner that Adam Dewey is at times. I mean, we talk about recipe. The West Tigers have excelled when we've had that guy. We've had someone in that number 7 jersey who is an out and out halfback.
Yeah, which is why I'm looking forward to hopefully watching Latu in the 7 jersey next week. The difference with Latu and AD as well as speed, or lack of with AD. AD, we've spoken about. AD has speed when he hits some space and he can wind up, but
Yeah,
he's
but
not
not.
he's not quick off the mark.
Yeah.
And we look very, very slow at times today in attack.
Yeah.
Very labouring. So that's one thing I noticed. And we spoke about it, Josh, in our chat too, right? When Heath Mason came on, and I don't think any of us were really keen to see Heath play the rest of this season, but he brought in speed. And all of a sudden we looked quicker in the middle and we looked a bit more potent. And you started seeing the Dragons backpedal a little bit when Heath came on. So Latu's very quick, especially off the mark. So I'd be very keen to see how he goes in that 7 jersey, hopefully this week. Hopefully AD can go and have that surgery, get it done now, get a few weeks head start rather than pushing through the rest of this season. But he's not a 7 for me either, Joel. I'd still like to consider putting him in a 13 jersey, but part of me today was thinking if you made him block, I wonder how much he'd overplay his hand in the middle.
But he doesn't bring those things that you just said you liked Heath Mason, what Heath Mason brought.
Yeah, correct. He's a good ball runner and he's tall and lanky, but I really don't know where he'd be best placed.
I mean, I think Dewey is probably a right side 5'8". Like, I think that's actually, if you got a proper halfback, and that's, I think he looked his best at the start of the season when he was playing with Madden, because I think he had someone doing that halfback's job, to your point. The question is, who does it? It's probably, if it's not Latu, then we don't have an option if Latu can't do it, then we don't have an option who's in our squad at the moment. But so I think they've got to give him the next 3 weeks, and whether Dewey's there or not, just to get him in the halfback jersey and see what happens. Otherwise, we should throw the kitchen sink at Sam Walker, and if the Roosters won't meet his financial needs, we should. So, give him whatever he wants.
Give him a leagues club at Roselle.
Yeah.
It's up for grabs.
Yeah.
A big difference that it's the same thing every week and nothing changes. But the counter attack, Josh, when the ball hit the ground and the Dragons had this opportunity to play some degree of eyes up, jump on it, make an opportunity sort of thing, they looked threatening. Our counter attack is just non-existent. It's so sluggish, and sluggish is the word, and it's the same not just with the counter attack, but just with our attacking shape in general. Everything is sort of predictable and telegraphed and singular. There doesn't seem to be much variety in it. I think we would be very easy to coach against.
Yeah, I think also it comes down to passes not being on the mark. It's hard to figure. Your attack looks clunky when guys are reaching back for balls, they're reaching forward for balls. I mean, you saw that one, and no criticism because there was a bunch of them all over the game. At the moment when Appy threw a poor pass to Dewey, and then Dewey then threw a poor pass to Jareem. That's your hooker and captain, and then your halfback. But there are a bunch of passes coming out both sides, from all guys that were just not they're not in front catching it on the move, kind of, and so then everything looks clunky because guys just aren't. Now, in saying that, I thought those 2 tries in the last 10 minutes were the best. Tigers tries I'd seen probably since most of the year. All of a sudden, and it's bad to only see it when you're chasing points, but all of a sudden we're throwing the ball around and making things happen, and coming home with a wet sail. And when Sam Fainu then broke through, although to Nick's point earlier, with no one supporting him. Although Dewey was there but couldn't keep up, which is probably a bad sign for you, or a good sign for Sam about how quick he is. But you need. I thought those last 10 minutes we were throwing the ball around. Can you do that for 80 at the way we were doing it? Probably not. But well, we definitely can't. But at least it was a good sign to say the boys might have decided to just throw it around and have a crack. So
how many weeks have we sat here and talked about bombed opportunities in matches? Every week, we've bombed opportunities. I know that last play where Herbert threw the flick, that was a silly play. Was that on like the second tackle? With 30 seconds to go?
But I kind of, you like,
I get
I
it.
don't mind guys having a crack, to be honest.
We had 30 seconds to go, and we were making ground. Like that was just he's not Mark Gasnier. It was forced. It was probably a wrong play, and I bet he regrets it. I bet he walked off the field and probably copped a bit of a mouthful from Benji. But
even the ones we scored, though, guys did stuff and they just happened to come up. I mean, I loved Tavana's little grubber through.
Oh, yeah, it worked out well.
It worked out well, but that was probably one of the stupider plays I've ever seen. Like, there were a couple of tackles left. Like, it worked out, but actually, to put a little grubber through on the... Yeah, like, there's lots of reasons why that went wrong. So...
If you watch this game, if you watch the Tigers, Nick, not just today, but in general, if you watch the Tigers as an impartial NRL fan or just sport fan, would you say that they're an interesting and exciting team to watch?
Oh, I have to take off my Tiger glasses.
Try and think about it. Like just imagine you sat down and you're watching that team. What would you think about it?
I'd probably say that they'd be frustrating to watch because there is a lot of potential there. And like we were talking about with bombed opportunities, to bomb opportunities means you've actually created an opportunity to bomb it. So, yeah, exciting in a way that stuff happens. Although it's kind of very predictable at the moment because you just don't expect the Tigers to win a game of football. So that's a little bit boring from an outsider point of view if you're watching the football team. But look, we used to be that team that everyone wanted to watch.
Yeah.
Especially on a Sunday afternoon, but they're very hard to watch at the moment.
I don't think we are, to your point, I think, Joel, I don't think we are very exciting to watch. And I think it's like even like we're a lot of one out running with our outside backs, and then we put a kick up. Like it's not been great footy, like the quality over the year. And ignoring today a little bit because I thought actually today was a bit better, but there's a lot of one out running. Like, the wingers run it up, then the centers run it up, and they don't look to pass. And then we have one tackle where we throw it around a little, and then on the fifth, Adam puts a bomb up. Like
to the same place on the field. Like if you watch the first 20 minutes, every time it was the same kick to Atkinson in the same spot.
Yeah. Which is clearly what the coaches have told them to do. Like, you're not doing that out of, like that is clear instruction. But yeah, it's I mean, the fact we got excited about Heath Mason coming on, which, because it changed. A guy was, with a bit of speed, was trying to run through the middle. So, it started to look a bit different.
Someone who didn't look like he was running in wet concrete.
Yeah, we're slow, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like sometimes, and Terrell May should never be allowed to get the ball in the attacking 20. Like he should, when we get to the 20, go and stand over there at the 21 meter mark. And I don't want to see you until the ball comes back out for the other team. Like it ruins every play.
Stifles.
Yeah.
One thing, I think it may have been Cooper Cronk, I can't remember who was commentating on Fox, was saying during, I think it might have been the start of the second half, like what has happened to West Tigers? Like what's happened to the style of play they were playing at the start of the year where they were shifting the ball, wide early and making meters up the sides of the field? Like we've gone very, very conservative, which has become very, very boring. And to your point, Josh, where, we're not shifting the ball much and it's very much one up, one out plays all the time. And it's very predictable and it's very easy to coach against. I think we actually got back a bit to our earlier season play towards the back end of that game. Like you said, when we're chasing points, we started going wide and started stretching and dragging until we're probably getting a bit tired, started running them a bit ragged, and we actually started looking better. I know you can't do that against every team, but we did start, turning back into that team that was playing, I guess, more of an attractive brand of football in the first couple of months, where we were creating more opportunities and scoring points.
I think when we were earlier in the year, you would say that the way that the team confronted the games, we looked cohesive. Like we looked like there was a connection between the players. And now it just looks like, for maybe not so much in our better moments, but in our worst moments, we look totally disconnected. We look like just 13 guys that met each other in the car park and decided to go and play a game of football. There just isn't that cohesion. Which I think that comes down to, the old chestnut, which is attention to detail. Like some teams look overcoached, and I would say, again, if I looked at it impartially as just a casual viewer, I would say we look a little bit undercoached.
Yep.
Like there doesn't seem to be a cohesive sort of plan. We get into those red zone sort of places, and 50% of the time we just don't look cohesive at all. Sometimes we do. Sometimes it comes to the left, and you can sort of see something going on. But yeah, I just don't know about that. I think
sometimes there are no plays.
Yeah.
In the red zone, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
And we saw it several times, especially in the first half today. They get in that 20, get to fourth or fifth tackle, and these guys just standing there. Throw it left, and whoever catches the ball just holds it, and they're like, "Okay, now what am I going to do with it?" There were no plays.
We don't strip teams for numbers. Like
No.
that's if I look at the halves, that's my
Correct.
big criticism.
Yep.
We don't, but I think it comes down also to quick play the balls. Like that one where we did at the end, Pole, and he was well and truly our best forward, I thought, today, and has been for probably the last couple of months. But he got a quick play the ball, and all of a sudden it looks like you make a play because you're making speed. You're not slow. It's not slow. Defense is set. It's flying out of there. I think slow play the balls in attack have really blunted us, and then the halves are. Well, they're not playing like halves. They are playing like 2-5-8s.
Yeah,
that doesn't help.
I will say that Taruva's try, and it was great to see him finally cross the line after so many weeks of not scoring. But his try, when I watched back the replay, that was actually quite clever. Tony Suka ran a really good inside line where he drew defenders and helped to create that space. And that's probably one of the only times I've actually seen us strip numbers off a team for a long, long time. I don't know why we can't do that more regularly.
The Dragons never really looked stretched or too concerned about what we were throwing at them. They always seemed to be pretty much, 95% of the time, pretty confident they had our number. Which a lot of it does come back to having a proper halfback. I think I just can't help but think that that's something that look at the teams that are going to play in the finals. Most of them have got it, haven't they? They've all got it. To be honest. You put Jerome Hughes into the West Tigers team, and you give him a forward pack that more often than not wins the collision. We're probably going to win more games. I just think that's a blind spot that we might have missed, and the mistake of Luai, because you'd have to say it was a mistake now in hindsight. That's going to be a mistake that's going to keep haunting us, I think. And if we buy someone and spend $1.2 million on someone, or whatever the going rate is, the top going rate for a player moving forward, they have to be somebody who actually wins games and converts opportunities into points and grabs a game by the scruff of the neck and is able to actually manipulate the outcome. And Luai, for all his success, is just not that. He's not Nathan Cleary. He never will be. Josh.
Yeah, Joel, and to kind of re-emphasize your point there, is we've won 7 games this year. Jock Madden played in the halves for 5 of those 7 games. Like that's kind of where we are. Like the one where he didn't was the Cowboys, and the other one was the Raiders. But every other game that we've won this year, Jock Madden was a half. So when we've had a halfback, and he's not amazing, so I'm not saying he's the answer.
No. Jock is just slightly above New South Wales Cup. But
he is, but 5 of our 7 wins have come with Jock playing in the half. So that means the Dewey-Luai combination has been, effectively has not. I don't know. Like they played in the Cowboys game, and I think they played in the Raiders game. I think that was before Dewey got injured. But effectively they've won 2 games together. Those two this season.
This is an extension of the Luke Brooks years.
Yep,
Nick.
Yeah. So before we signed Luai, I know the Tigers or Benji wanted Munster, and he thought about it for a little bit. At least in the media, it was there for a couple of weeks before he declined. We had a crack at Mitchell Moses, and the story at the time was he would have come if it wasn't for the management at the time. He didn't like the way the club was being run, correct? So he also declined.
Neither did we. Yeah.
He wasn't wrong.
Correct. So we ended up with Luai. Do you think we would have been a more successful team with Cam Munster or Mitchell Moses?
Mitchell Moses, yes.
Yeah.
Because he's correct. Yeah.
Munster, I don't think was ever going to be coming, but West Tigers were a nice little inflation device that
Yeah, possibly.
inflated his price up
Yeah.
that little bit more. But yeah, Mitch Moses losing Tedesco was a sliding doors moment. And as much as I don't like Mitch Moses, and I loved to see him get folded the other night by Taumalolo, that style of player is what we are yearning for.
Yeah.
And when I look next year, we still don't have it, and that is a concern, and they don't even seem to be on the horizon because I'm not exactly sure what the stocks are like down, in the lower grades, but halfback we don't seem to be able to produce game controlling halfbacks, in recent times in the lower grades, which is a bit of a worry. Not that
I,
they don't grow on trees anyway at the best of times.
they don't. I just want to add, I did watch the Magpies game today on TV. I subscribed to Bar TV and watched the game, which was good. Specifically, really wanted to watch a few of the boys. Jack Haddard was impressive, but I wanted to watch Javon. I'm actually really impressed with Javon's kicking game. He's got a better, longer kicking game than I thought he had.
Really boot it. Yeah,
Yeah, he can, and he can kick to corners. And I think he's got real potential to be a starting half next season. We'll see. I know he's young, but I did like what I saw. It was a bit of a shame that game though. We got up early, 12-0 early lead, and then Dragons ran in 4 unanswered tries, and we tried to fight hard to bring it back, but couldn't quite do it. But yeah, there was some decent signs in that team, which also lost Sakura as well. So they were missing a couple of players.
Their second biggest strike weapon. Yeah,
they did it, but Hamasi went back and scored 4 tries. So
which also probably explains to you that standing outside Javon Andrews is very good for your career if you're a New South Wales Cup outside back, because they have been scoring tries at will, no matter who's on that edge all year, because he's creating magic for him. So left though, which is
that's right.
not right where we put him.
What is the crystal ball saying? Benji will defiantly stick with what is not working till the end of the year, or he'll try something different.
If there's a reason to get AD surgery now, then that's Benji's excuse. I think Benji would actually like to get AD out of the halves.
He's probably saying no. I don't.
I think you're right. He's probably a bit scared, a bit intimidated.
I reckon it was waiting until Latu came back, because he's not been able to. I think we'll see Adam go for surgery after this week, and I think we'll see. I think if Latu hadn't been suspended, that might have been a different. That whole thing might have played out differently. I think he's the one, and so he's back next week. And I think, personally, if Adam plays, I'd have Adam and Latu, and if Adam, otherwise, I'd send Adam to get surgery, and Jerome can stay for 3 more weeks and earn his dollars. Risk his shoulders.
The loss of Twal, an impact on the game, do we think, Nick?
Defensively, yes. Probably leadership-wise as well. He's been around quite a while, Twal, and he's a good leader. I didn't like Sione coming into lock. I know he's more of a middle than an edge, so I'm glad he wasn't playing out in the back row again, but I would rather have seen Sione, bring in some impact off the bench. So that's probably...
It was a poor bench again.
Yeah, again, it was. So yeah, that obviously had a bit of an impact there. I'm not sure what happened. I heard he was sick, so maybe he's caught my bug. I must have gone too close to Concord during the week and coughed over the fence.
Yeah, maybe.
Hope he's all right for next week. But but even still, I think there's an opportunity now. You have to change something in the next few weeks. And I've said it before, Twally's done a good job at lock this year. I'd rather see him in the prop rotation and bring in someone a bit more dynamic and faster into that 13 jersey as well.
All-time Heath Mason?
Maybe.
Heath Mason is a long way from playing 80 minutes of rugby league in
that's true.
position.
That's true.
I do like the idea of starting with Twal and running Pole off the bench. And I've got 2 guys here that I really want to highlight for really having a go today. And Pole is one of them, and Junior Tupu is the other. And anybody who's listened to the podcast for 4 or 5 years would know that I wasn't the biggest Junior Tupu fan, but on that performance, I've got to say he's winning me over, because he was not only was he safe, but he was effective. And there was one particular run down the field where I thought it was Samuela at first, and it was Junior Tupu. I think he's doing very, very well. So kudos to the recruitment team for bringing Junior Tupu back, and I'm sure we're not paying a fortune for him as well. Is that will be the end of Skelton, you would think, guys?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
I agree with you, Joel. I think he's had a crack since he's come back, and it's
Yeah.
been more solid, and he's runs hard, and he's in reasonably good position. Like for a guy who hasn't probably trained with the team, very much as well. I think he's done very well. I think Skelton is done. I mean, if they haven't signed Skelton yet, you'd imagine that's done. So I think he'll be done. It raises an interesting question coming into round one next year on the left wing. There is it Tupou or is it Macassini? Which one?
Mm.
Which one would you pick? I think at the moment I'd probably pick Tupou
Yeah.
On that left wing.
100%.
Yeah.
At least until Massey gets a bit more developed and mentally, more game aware as well, and experienced. So yeah, Tipu's done well, Joel. You're right. He has fit in quite well. And Skelton did score a try and cup today, barnstorming Budge over down the right side, which was a good effort. But he threw a couple of hospital passes, which turned possession over quite cheaply, which led to tries to Dragons
why am
as
I
well.
not shocked? Yeah.
Yeah.
What a shame. Because Skelton could be anything.
Correct. Yep.
There's a reason he hasn't been. He's 28, though. I think that's probably
I know.
I think that's it. Just to call out Joel, and the other one you mentioned, Pole.
Yeah.
Like he's been close to my player of the season. I think Pole. Like when other blokes have given up over the last 11 weeks, I think he's been the pick of our forwards. And I didn't expect to say that at the start of the year that Pole would be the pick of our middles at the end of the year. So, good on him for keeping on. He makes a difference. Like he quick play the balls, runs hard. He's one of the few blokes who runs hard still. Like we're not getting, there's effort and energy in it. So.
100%. Yeah. No, he was very impressive again. And touch wood, his hands have been pretty good as well. Have been very good, actually. Yeah. There's a little bit of talk about Kurt Mann as potentially coming to the West Tigers. Nothing confirmed as yet. I think he's 33. He would be coming, I suppose, as depth. Potentially, what do we got? What do we think about that? I'm okay for 1 year, and so long as we're not spending too much money. Josh, Kurt Mann for a year?
I don't think we would be spending too much money, and I think everything you hear about Kurt Mann is that he's an elite trainer. He's the kind of guy who sets standards. We saw that Mason role today, that having someone come off the bench and play 20 minutes where they straighten up and direct. I mean, Benji wanted to put Dewey there, and we were kind of saying just before that he's not the kind of guy he doesn't have that impact.
Explosive.
I think Kurt Mann could come off the bench. He's a great bench player too, because he's a guy who's played, I think I looked the other day, and I think he's played over 20 first grade games at fullback, centre, wing, halfback, 5'8", hooker, lock. You can put him on a bench there, and in a pinch, you can play him wherever you want.
Yeah.
Guy raises standards, great attitude. I think he'd be a good low money signing. Look at Brayley, same kind of thing. It just gives you that more experience around the squad. When you've got a few young blokes. And if he has to drop back to New South Wales Cup, he's a great bloke to have New South Wales Cup kids coming through play with. So, as you said, I don't think he's going to cost you much, like he's given where he is. So, I think that'd be a good top 30 signing.
Well, we'll wait and see on that. I don't really want to talk about the people at Ashfield tonight. I just can't be bothered. But there, to the credit of the guys over at the West Tigers Forum, Sean Millikamp, the CEO of the West Tigers, has been open to some questions and has responded to some of those questions. And some very interesting things have come out of what Sean Millikamp has said, and maybe we'll talk about that potentially on the midweek pod if that's the way that things work out. But there was 4 very important points that came out of one of his recent posts. He said that he reports to 4 boards. Now, if I'm a CEO, I don't care how much money they're paying me. I'm not taking the job if I have to report to 4 boards. So I would avoid that situation like the plague. So kudos to you, Sean, for you must really, really, really love a challenge, and you must really love headaches. But no wonder we can't work if we've got 4 boards that we have to keep happy and have to answer to. That's just totally and utterly unsustainable and ridiculous. Sean said he's working hard on pathways. That's his main priority, is to get the pathways all on the one page and get that all tidied up and working cohesively. He said he wants the club and the fans to be united. Well, we all do, but there are things that are done by the people who sign the checks around here that don't drive unity. They only drive and fester division. For example, the New South Wales Cup team. Also, he said that, and it's quite an interesting insight, and it's something that I've long suspected, that there has been inconsistency in board involvement. So at times, the board, so people who, I don't think necessarily we're talking about the West Tigers board, I think we might be talking about a board above the West Tigers board, at times has meddled in football things, and then other times has been completely disconnected from football things. And it sounds like almost what I read into that is that when things get tough, maybe they start meddling and start to make decisions. And when things are going well, they probably sit back and let it go. I don't know. That's just my feeling. But some of those things very much concern me on a macro level for the organisation. So we are never going to be anything so long as we are divided. Is that correct, Nick? We have to get rid of the divisions.
Well, you can see why Richo walked away, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, that says it all. Richo is one of the smartest football managers or operators in the business. And once he had that little, what do you want to call it? Incident with the owners earlier this season, he turned his back and he said, "No, I'm done."
Well, I would suspect that they said, "Here you go. You're the man. You're our man. Go and run this place and fix it up." And then they started to meddle.
Correct.
Couldn't leave it alone. And then, of course, he went, "Well, I'm not doing this. You told me to come in and run the place, and now you're looking over my shoulder."
Exactly. So it makes you wonder how Sean's going to cope long term. Yeah.
History would tell you that it'll all end in tears, because it keeps all ending in tears.
It's what they say in like financial planning. The best evidence around the future outcomes is what's happened in the past. So yeah, I think there's something in that, Josh. Definitely.
Yep.
All right, another hard week as a West Tigers fan, but we're nearly there, and then we can have a rest and have a break. So.
The best part is, Joel, it's Sunday, so I've got a week of work to look forward to. I can't wait to get into the office tomorrow and get stuck into my emails. I can't wait.
Take your mind off this stuff.
Yeah.
All righty. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Up the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.